adjusting my sweater.
Let's hear it for your next improv team. Adjusting my sweater.
I'm always doing it.
Boo.
Hi, everybody. My name's Ann.
And my name's John.
And this is
John and Ann's Wrestling Podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to John and Ann's Wrestling Podcast. We haven't done this in a little bit.
Yeah, we did. We took a little break.
We took a little break to rest up for WrestleMania. It was a big weekend for wrestling.
It was the biggest weekend for wrestling.
The one we wait for all year.
Yeah, I mean, technically, for right now anyway, it's the biggest weekend for wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what the future might hold. It certainly started off on a high note, huh?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Like I would say that the whole weekend went like this. It was like this. It was like up here, and then I'm a little tired, and then it was like this.
Yeah, it was like.
Then it came crashing down.
It was even like it was just climbing. Everything was like, getting better. I felt really good, and then even WrestleMania was like, oh yeah, this is really good still. And then the second night starts a little bit. It's off to a weird start.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is what they've done all 3 years that they've done it. The live WrestleManias on 2 nights. The first night always feels really fun, and then the second night like starts off weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 years ago was the Hogan, like the Hulk Hogan, Titus O'Neil pirate thing, and you're like, oh no. And then they had the first match on that show was Randy Orton versus The Fiend, which ended with Alexa Bliss like tricking The Fiend or hitting him with a giant Jack-in-the-Box or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first match on the card, and the crowd was so mad. And it was just like, why would you? First of all, he shouldn't have lost. Second of all, why would you start with this? They had like a U.S. title match with Sheamus and Matt Riddle on that same show, and it's like, just do that or they had like a tag team title match. Like, do something like that first. And then last year, I remember it starting off kind of weird, or it was like maybe fine, but then the main event was really disappointing. But this year, it started off with Brock Lesnar and Omos, and it was just like, this isn't as fun. And then
it wasn't fun at all.
And
it was a big reminder of how terrified we all were going into this Mania because of how weird all the like reporting was leading up to it with like Bray Wyatt just like disappearing. Yeah,
I wonder if his demons gave him some sort of an omen about what was to come. Something that was very obvious to all of us, but we just are foolish sometimes. Yeah. It started off really good. A lot of really great indie shows. Ring of Honor had a great pay-per-view. With some disappointing, heartbreaking losses at it. And then WWE one-upped them with a heartbreaking loss at the end. Boy, why?
Everything we thought we knew last week, out the window.
When you think you've got all the answers, Vince fires the questions.
We truly live in such a really like crazy time right now. Like we're living through history at this moment. Like the WWE, for those of you who haven't heard, was it's merging. Yeah,
they didn't sell. That's even every aspect of this has been a lie because they didn't even sell it. They merged with UFC. So, or with Endeavor. Endeavor.
The buzz on the street / Twitter / several podcasts I've listened to /
Streeter
is like that Vince wanted to sell it to Ari Emanuel because they're friends.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the whole thing is like he
so like Endeavor's not putting up any money for this deal. It's all stock.
Yeah. So it's literally just like everything he's done was like, oh, I'm gonna retire, and then like that was a lie, and then he came back. He like forced his way back in the company. He's like, so I can facilitate a sale that's going to be beneficial for everybody. And then it wasn't really a sale, and it was only beneficial to him because he found one guy who would be like, oh, I want to retire, but Ari doesn't want me to retire. He wants me to be here. So he's trying to take responsibility off of himself for everything while still doing everything he wants. He also looks absolutely insane now, and it's so funny because you can just tell everybody's like, what is going on with this guy?
Like he looks like what I hoped, which was that he was going to come back to play his own evil twin.
He does. He does look like an evil twin.
I was ready for him to be like his evil twin in a storyline and like pop up and insist he's someone completely different, like Ezekiel Elias kind of stuff.
Can you imagine the evil version of Vince McMahon? I mean, it's literally got to be just a murderer. I don't even know.
Evil version of Vince McMahon sells WWE to UFC.
I mean, yeah, he's. It's also like so many people
and
are
he's
going to be.
got the real Vince tied up in a closet somewhere.
That's fine. He can stay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so funny because it's like every single bad thing about this guy is true. He's poison in every aspect of life. I mean, this guy, like, I've never met this guy, but he's clearly terrible. And he's very manipulative. So he can do, and I've met people like that before many times where they can make you feel bad for criticizing them or for noticing their flaws. And then they take you and then they get, they make sure that you're like, okay, you're right.
Okay, can you not talk about me like I'm not here?
It's just, I've met people like this before.
It's like,
if
I'm right here.
I'm right here. I need help.
I can see you.
I'm
help. Looking at you.
So we're back.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
No, but I mean, so Cody Rhodes lost to Roman Reigns this weekend, in case you have been under a rock and didn't see that yet.
Yeah, get out.
In the main event of WrestleMania. That's what we were talking about. And it felt like, would you say it felt like a betrayal, John?
Yes, but it also felt like what we all should have expected. It really felt like this time was different. And I know we've been saying all week that, or not all week, but for the last 2 days, the Bloodline stuff has had like clear story beats and they followed a story. And it's like more so than almost ever in WWE. There's been a clear story. So at first, when Cody lost, I was ready to like sort of believe that there was a purpose to it. Cause like New Japan does stuff like that all the time. They'll build somebody up, like Kota Ibushi wins the G1 Climax. It's a very like intense tournament, and we're wondering like, where's it go from here? It looks like he's going to win the title at Wrestle Kingdom. He doesn't, and then he's got to like struggle for the rest of the year, win the G1 again, and then yet another title shot, and then he wins, and it's satisfying. I don't trust that that's what's happening here. I think that Cody was just another like very well built up challenger in the way that Drew McIntyre was, in the way that Sami Zayn was, and then it's just over now. And I know a lot of people are trying to have hope. I tried for like 1 day to have hope, especially with Vince McMahon back. There's no hope. There's no plan. The plans are gone.
Yeah.
Plans are over. Cody Rhodes could be bringing back the 24/7 championship.
I mean, I feel like you held on to hope until we watched Raw.
Yeah.
Which I am sorry that I said that word without warning you that I was going to say it. I know it's a triggering sentence.
Raw is back, baby. When I tell you that Raw is back, someone watch this show, this 3-hour show, and tell me what happened.
I still can't believe I watched it. Like, every time I try to remember something from it, I'm like, oh, right, that was a show that we watched last night, and not just like a weird series of YouTube clips. Like,
it wasn't even a series of YouTube clips. It's like, what would you watch on YouTube from that show? Seth Rollins comes out and stands in the ring while people sing his song and then is gone after the commercial break.
That was so weird. Because there were so many things that happened on Raw where I was like, oh, right, what happened with that? Like, we saw them come out and then they disappeared. Like, Rhea and Seth.
Seth Rollins' segment was apparently cut during the commercial break.
Yeah.
And there's a video of him from the crowd, video of him, like, arguing with the people.
Yeah.
Because Vince was making changes all night. Because in the morning, Vince said on, was it CNBC or whatever? He said, I am not going to be in the weeds with creative anymore. I'm done with that. I can't. I want to do it, but I can't. I got to, work on the big picture stuff. A couple hours later, less than 12 hours later, takes over the whole show, rewrites everything. And you can tell. It's not just like, if you watch that show, nothing happens. Nothing happens on that show.
I love that you're giving this directly to camera so it can be like a manifesto.
The first
nothing.
I mean, truly, if it was ever going to happen, this is what would drive me over the edge. Nothing happened. The opening of that show was Triple H coming out. All you needed to see was that opening to know it's over. Any hope is dead. Triple H is going to come out and make a big announcement. Bait and switch, classic WWE. He comes out. They only tell you Triple H is going to be there to make an announcement to say, like, hey, there's going to be something important, and Triple H is going to be here. Triple H does come out to get people, to trick people into watching it, says absolutely nothing for like 10 minutes. He thanks the fans and whatever, and that's fine. No announcement. All he does is introduce Roman Reigns. Before he does that, he says WWE isn't changing. and it was like, here's a clear red flag. Classic bait and switch by them. Nothing actually happens in it. Like, there's no substance to it, and they'll never change. He's letting you know. It was almost like he was crying for help, honestly.
Yeah, or like issuing a threat.
We'll never change.
It was funny because the minute we were like halfway through that and it kind of became obvious he wasn't actually like announcing anything important, I got this feeling that I get only when I watch WWE. And it's like an excited, like sickening. It's like an excited dread because they do a good job of like making you think something's going to happen. So you're kind of like, oh boy, Triple H is going to talk, or oh boy, here comes Rhea Ripley or something. But that there's not going to be a payoff. So it's like your body has a physical response to it that's like excitement and keeps you locked on. But like the whole time, the other half of your brain is like, what are you doing? Like, stop.
There's nothing. I was gonna say it's like eating candy when you're like excited to eat it, and there's kind of a rush, and it's sort of good, but then there's like nothing to like you're not getting any nutrition.
But this is like,
at least candy tastes good.
And also like eating candy when you're like in your late 30s, and you know what you're doing to yourself.
Yeah.
I just finished a packet of gummy bears. I don't know why
Why did you admit that?
But like,
nobody ever had it.
But like, really, it's just like you have all the more dread about it because you're like, I know exactly what this is doing to me.
It's classic Vince McMahon led Raw, especially. Nothing happens. Nothing ever happens. And if anything does happen, it doesn't matter later.
Nope.
So it's just back to being pure nihilism.
3 hours, and all we got out of it was Dom is going to fight Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico.
That was,
right?
Yeah,
that's it.
And then Brock Lesnar turning on Cody Rhodes, I guess, is the only other thing.
Can we talk about what, like...
I don't want to.
Is there... No. I just have a question for you, because I actually didn't watch it. You did. I went to bed.
Yeah, I fell asleep for most of it, but I did wake up just before it.
But did they ever... Because they did go out of their way to justify why Brock would want to challenge Roman. Like, they said, like, oh, he can't... challenge you any other way. He wants to get at you.
Yeah, he can't.
And this is it. And he has nothing to lose.
Yeah, he's lost his ability to get a title shot from his last loss. So
they go to the trouble to do that. Have they ever done anything ever to set up why Brock would hate Cody? Enough to
no,
do that to him?
No, absolutely not. No, they've never. They've never. I don't even think they've ever interacted.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, because Cody was there. I mean, Cody was there for Brock's like first 4 years back. Or so, and I don't think they ever crossed paths in any way, because Brock was very much like he just wouldn't be. I mean, he's the same as he is now. He just wouldn't be there for months, and he would come back and he'd fight like a big main event guy.
Because there's like a reason for him to want to fight Roman. There's no reason for him to want to turn on Cody.
No, and I don't imagine we'll get one. Or if they might try, but it won't be very good. And it won't. And they won't. And the thing is, they don't care, or Vince doesn't care, because he doesn't have any respect for the audience, and he doesn't think that there needs to be a reason, because you'll just watch it anyway. I think a lot of the reason why it feels like nothing happens is because Vince has trouble making decisions, weirdly, about like creative stuff, and he changes his mind a lot. And also, I think I noticed from watching a lot of Raw a couple of years ago, like every week, is that if nothing happens, they can spread a few things out over months. So what they'll do a lot of times is they'll just like, sometimes they will do a story beat, but then for the next 5 weeks on Raw, they'll just do the same story beat. So if somebody beats somebody, they'll just either have that happen a couple times, or they'll trade wins and losses back and forth. So like, they don't really have to like think of anything new, and so I just can't believe, like, some people, a big criticism was in the first hour of Raw, there was 7 minutes of wrestling, commercial free. There were no commercials.
Yeah.
So there's an hour of wrestling.
So we watched an hour of people coming out to music and talking.
Yeah, and also they're not saying anything. So it's not like, okay, so this is actually my point. So a lot of people have been critical of this. I kind of didn't even really think of this point. But I see other people being like, oh, well, who cares? It's not about like the in-ring wrestling all the time. There's other stuff. And it's like, sure, fine. That can be correct. That can be a correct take. That's a type of wrestling that can be valid if we're focusing on story and build and
I love
promos
story and build.
And emotion and connecting.
I love entrances. I love promos. I love story.
I love all that stuff.
That's mainly why I watch this stuff.
I love all that stuff, But what of that happened during Raw, during that first hour. There wasn't wrestling, but there also wasn't any story. So I don't know what anybody is clinging to at this point that they're saying, like, oh, it's a story. But, like, what story?
Yeah.
What story? There was no story. Nothing happened. Like, truly nothing happened. I'm sorry, but Cody Rhodes comes out there and he tried so hard to have passion for this bullshit nothing promo that he did, where he's like, I'm not in a good mood. I'm not in a normal mood. He was, like, trying so hard to make it matter. And there wasn't anything there to matter. You know?
There wasn't. No. I was complaining about this all weekend, actually, with WrestleMania, but even the entrances weren't that interesting. Like, when I watch WrestleMania entrances, like, I will YouTube so-and-so's WrestleMania entrance, because usually that entrance is, like, the entrance they've envisioned, like, since childhood to do, you know, like, it's cool. It's like they got extras. They got, like, Bianca Belair had a dance team.
Yeah, that was
like
great.
That was really cool. Seth Rollins had a weird composer, but, like, most people's entrances this year were just like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, nothing. Like, there were so few, like aside from the Bianca Belair entrance and the Roman Reigns piano, had like 6 pianos out there, which was kind of cool. But a lot of the entrances were like that, where they would have, like, one weird thing, and then it would just be that. It'd be like, oh, cool, he's got, like, 6 pianos on the stage there. I wonder what's going to happen. And then it was like nothing. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
There's 6 people who may or may not be playing piano. When he walks out, they're not. They're just standing there.
And it's just, I mean, it's very indicative of...
And then they kept cutting away because they had this big set that they built that they were clearly very proud of, but they would cut away to show the whole set in the arena, and the wrestler would be this big on the screen, you know, in this huge arena, and it just looked silly to me. Like,
and they just, it's classic WWE again. It's like, we built this really nice, expensive thing that looks really high quality. It looks really good, and we don't do anything with it.
Yeah,
there's nothing to it. Remember what happened with the women's champions last night? The now undefeated at WrestleMania and who's had the title for a year, Bianca Belair. Yeah. The brand new SmackDown Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley.
When Rhea came out, I was really excited.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be, because nothing's going to happen. And that's exactly what happened. Bianca Belair came out, said basically nothing. Do you know how many people thanked the fans last night? It was at least like 4 people came out and just said,
John,
thanks.
The WWE universe.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks to all of you, you know, and it's like every quarter hour somebody came out and did that, because there was no promo. They didn't have anything to say. They didn't have anything to build to, so what else could they say? And so then Rhea Ripley comes out while Bianca's doing her nothing promo, or she maybe says like, I want to fight somebody else or whatever.
And we
then
think they're going to unify the women's titles.
Yeah, or, you know.
They're going to have some kind of crazy...
Rhea Ripley or Bianca Belair is going to be the Roman Reigns of the women's division. But
no.
Rhea Ripley comes out, and this is another classic thing they do in WWE, where she's like, wouldn't this be fun? And that's like almost what she says exactly. She's like, it wouldn't be fun if we have a, you know, if we do a match someday.
Yeah, this is the second time, by the way, that they've done that exact wouldn't this be fun thing with Rhea.
Yeah.
In the last time I saw it was when she had a stare down with Becky Lynch in like December. So like this is the second time I've seen her like them make her like tease a match that's like not at all.
And that's kind of fine, because that's not the focus of the thing.
No.
So that was just like a cool moment. Like, ooh, it's like a little Easter egg.
But it gets frustrating when these things never come to fruition, and they're just like,
wouldn't
this be fun? And you're like, yes, it would. Please show me it. And they're like, no.
No. You'll watch anyway, because they don't want to sell you a product. This is this is a criticism I have with like capitalism in general. A lot of companies, they don't care about selling you a product or a quality product, or they don't care about the product they sell. They just want to sell stuff. They just want to make money.
They just want you to watch.
They just want you to watch, exactly. So they just want to like sell advertising. They just want to convince you to stick around to watch and absorb Cinnamon Toast Crunch ads.
So they trick you.
And Mike's Harder
like
Lemonade.
The tag match on Raw.
Yeah.
It was a trick.
It was exactly. It was a
trick.
Again, very classic bait and switch WWE.
It was an old carny trick.
They set up a match for 2 hours. Actually, 3 hours, because it was at the beginning of the...
3
2.5 hours.
It was the first thing they said
to us. Give them the
us.
benefit of the doubt. 2.5 hours.
First promise they made to the audience was that this match would happen.
Every match, every time we come back from commercial, they mention that this match is going to happen. First time Brock Lesnar's wrestled on Raw in years. First time Roman Reigns has wrestled on Raw in forever. Going to happen. You do this match. They do the entrances. Brock immediately turns on Cody Rhodes for no reason, beats him down for 10 minutes, and it's very clearly Vince going like, "You see this guy? Do you like this guy? Do you like this guy? Oh yeah. Well, fuck you. I mean, it's like,
is this your king? Says Vince McMahon. Is this your king?
And then Cody, you know, look, Cody made the decision to go there. I feel bad because I love him, and I was very, like, WrestleMania overall was a very good show. I mean, night 1 was great, and then night 2 was mostly really good, and the crowd was great the whole time. It's just like, I try to be like, I can see like Cody going on a hero's journey. He hasn't had any actual obstacles basically other than the injury. He's won all his matches since his return. He won the Royal Rumble at number 30. Like, I can see this being like, this is, you know, he's got to climb back up the mountain basically. He's got to like do the hero's journey. And then like the slow dissolution and destruction of the bloodline is kind of cool. Like, Roman's not just going to immediately lose. He's going to like have to fumble a little bit. Like, there's going to be more crumbling. But I don't think that's what's going to happen, especially not with Vince back. And I think that Cody moment was so special that it's like, it just was the perfect. I keep coming back to like, what if Stone Cold Steve Austin lost to Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14? Because that was a big star making thing, and that was where the Attitude Era like really kicked into like high gear, and that became that was like really the kickoff of their biggest boom period ever, was when Steve Austin became champion. And it's just, this is like if Steve Austin had lost that match, and then the next night on Raw they still try to be like, hey, Austin's cool though, right? Because that's what they did. This is exactly what they did with John Cena for like 10 years. He would beat everybody, but then they would keep trying to sell you the people he beat like they're cool badasses, and it's like, no, they lost. And they not only did they lose, they lost very badly and are humiliated, and they'd have to lose to him like 3 times, and it was awful. And you know what? It's just, I'm glad it happened, because now I don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't care about WWE. I just wanted the people that I like that are there to do well. And I wanted it to continue to be a viable option for wrestlers to go to have fulfilling careers. Yeah. It's okay if it's like a specific style of WWE wrestling, as long as they could like have fulfilling creative careers and they're like safe and making money for their families and themselves. It's like, just, that's all I wanted. It was an option, so that everybody doesn't have to like cram into AEW or whatever, you know? Yeah. And it's just not that. That's not what it is. You have to just, if you're going to go to WWE, you just have to accept you're retiring from wrestling and you're just going into this, and like the circus that's just lights and sounds, and you just have to be okay with it. And it might be fun sometimes, but it's just mostly going to be bad. Yeah.
Like, if I see Rhea Ripley in a Mountain Dew ad, that's fine. But I want to see her in a Mountain Dew ad and think, oh, this is an interesting change of pace.
Yeah.
Not, oh, this is the most I've gotten to hear her talk today, or, you know, like.
I mean, it's truly, and also, by the way, Charlotte is now going on hiatus again. So, I mean, good for her. I mean, she got her face slammed to the mat several times. So, I mean, she could have a broken nose or something anyway. But, you know, it is funny that I hope she doesn't just, like, come back and immediately win the title. But that seems like probably what's going to happen. Yeah. Yeah, well. I mean, at least she's not there for a while.
It was a fun, brief whirlwind of magic.
It was, you know, Triple H tried. And it wasn't even, like, the greatest show outside. The Bloodline stuff was great. But, like, it wasn't. It just was, you know, it was just nice that it was coherent, you know, and now it's just back to, and it's just nothing. I mean, again, Raw, truly nothing happened. So even if your whole thing is like, it's not just about the matches, it's about like the stories and the moments and stuff. And it's like, cool, they had a story, they had a moment, they squandered the moment with Cody at WrestleMania. I don't know if people think that, because Roman he's not going to lose till next year. I mean, there's no way. Maybe the American Nightmare wins in the birthplace of liberty. Isn't that what they call Philadelphia? Is that a thing? Yeah, so maybe he wins in Philadelphia. That would be cool. Will that happen? I would have, no, it's not going to happen. Maybe Austin Theory will win.
I feel like
at WrestleMania 40.
Any idea you have that you're like, that would be so cool, is something they are never going to do.
Yeah, so try not to have those
But they're going to make you think they would do it.
Yeah, they love to make you think that they would do it, and then they just do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I like the Roman Reigns character and title reign. I wasn't even sick of it. It just felt like that was the time to end it. And especially like we cost Sami Zayn the thing, because it's like Cody's going to win it, but Cody made sense. But the only positive thing that I can maybe see out of this is that I know that some people, maybe especially people that might have been newer to wrestling and haven't been there for Cody's like whole journey, might have felt sick of Cody, or like they were shoving him down our throats, or he did. And maybe now people can see him as sort of an underdog again, because he is, you know, I mean, it's just, even though he's like, seems like, I mean, he's still going to get to be prominent, cool baby face and do some fun stuff. Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes could definitely be a great match. You know, if Cody beats him, it'll be a big deal, but who cares? Because there's not going to ever be a follow through. So maybe Cody will still win the titles at some point, but that cool WrestleMania moment where the whole crowd was with him is gone. So maybe he wins it next year.
Maybe.
Who knows?
I don't think he will.
Boy, the indie scene, how's it going?
Oh, you're asking me the questions.
I'm asking you.
Asking me about the indie scene, eh? That's because I am an expert on the indie scene.
You watched more indie wrestling than I did this weekend.
I watched a lot of indie wrestling this weekend.
You watched I was 3 full shows.
And I was all over Twitter this weekend taking in all the tweets, and I saw a number of tweets. Someone did a whole thread. I'm not going to name them because, I don't know, I don't want to be petty, but like they did a whole thread about how the indie scene seems to be in a down cycle because, well, they didn't quite give very good, like, evidence of this. I was kind of confused by it.
Yeah, it seemed like kind of just an emotional rant, the way you're describing it.
Yeah, well, it just, a lot of, like, you and I both have been in the comedy scene in New York for a while, and, like, a lot of it sounded like the kind of complaints that exist in any scene about said scene, like,
every
so-and-so, people aren't getting enough bookings for newer talent, which is always a problem. Like in every industry, it's harder for newer people because, if you've got a lot of people who are talented in a scene and the scene is hopping, it's going to be harder when you're newer because there's so many experienced good people in it,
Yeah, and if you don't have like the connections and you're not already a proven commodity, it's really hard.
And if you're a booker, you're going to book the people who are proven draws first,
exactly,
So if there's a lot of those people running around, it's going to be harder for newer people. You're not going to see a lot of different people because you're going to see a lot of the same people booked, which I do. Like I watch GCW, so I see a lot of the same people over and over again.
I mean, yeah,
but I don't,
absolutely.
And I understand getting kind of sick of it because especially when you like, me, like I watched like 3 GCW shows this weekend.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of the same people, and I could see if you watched like all 6 or whatever, however many GCW shows there were this weekend. I think there were like at least 6, if not more.
Bloodsport, Effie.
There was a Lucha show.
Oh, right.
Joey Janela, For the Culture,
right.
Big Gay Brunch, Bloodsport. Wait, I'm not counting from 1. Sorry.
No, you counted like up to 7.
Well, because I thought I was counting the ones that you mentioned already. Should we try to name them all?
Bloodsport. Effie's Big Gay Brunch. For the Culture. Joey Janela Spring Break.
Lucha.
The Lucha show. The World on Lucha.
The World on Lucha is what it's called. Yeah.
That's all I got.
They had an Indie Wrestling Hall of Fame show that was a ceremony show. They had, there were a couple others, I thought. All right, well, whatever. We got to 6, which was the number I originally guessed. So there you go.
Ring of Honor also had a great pay-per-view.
Yeah, but I watched about half of those, and I did see the same people over and over again. And I bet if you watched all 6 of them, you might be kind of coming out of it going, ugh. But it's like that's one promotion. And I'm excited when I see the same people because I'm like, good for them. They got another job.
Yeah, I mean, like, what is the,
like, I don't want to, like, I'm a fan of Billie Starks, and whenever I see her get booked on something, I'm really excited. Like, she was on the Tokyo Joshi show, and I loved that. I was really excited. And so was Max the Impaler, who we'd seen at House of Glory.
Yeah.
And I loved that personally.
Yeah, I think indie wrestling is in like one of its biggest boom periods of all time.
I do too.
And I think it was funny because one of the things they mentioned it being in a down period is streaming is too widely available and it should be special. And it's like, no, I think the streaming is actually how it continues to grow, and it makes it easier for people to watch it because not everybody can get that indie wrestling. They're not going to come to places all the time that don't have a lot of people. So like if there's not a place for them to go to draw a crowd, then the only way you can really watch it is streaming, and the streaming options make it more accessible, and it's only going to make it grow. It's not going to make it, because especially like GCW's on Fight Plus, so they can like most of those shows are like $5 a month.
Yeah,
so
and
it's not like you spend $50 on a pay-per-view, which Backlash is probably about to be $100 for a pay-per-view or whatever.
Oh,
UFC, all these Peacock's gonna that's all gonna go away. All these UFC is also a terrible evil corporation, and they treat their fighters horribly. I'm pretty sure. So,
well, anyway, I watched a lot of good GCW shows. I think the scene's doing well. All the shows we've been to in the last few months have been sold out or near sold out. I want to say the local shows that we've been to.
Yeah, even House of Glory, which is not a super small indie promotion, but it's not a very big one either.
This is what I was going to say. But I also think that streaming is good for the indies because they can carry a story.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
not that they like try to do that so hard, because I think they appreciate that not everybody's going to be keeping up with it that
Yeah.
closely. But if they wanted to, they could.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, they have like feuds and stuff, and it's
Yeah.
just it does help.
mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the allure of the indie show is just to go and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it definitely does help that they can do stuff like that. I
Yeah.
mean, even there was like a T.J. Perkins interview or something, and he said like one of his favorite promotions to wrestle for were like really small indie promotions that
Mm-hmm.
were like always in the same place, kind of like a House of Glory, so that you could, even though House of Glory is kind of a big version of that,
Mm-hmm.
because then you would get like repeat audience, so then
Yeah.
you could like carry on feuds and stuff.
Right. Which
whereas,
House of
like,
Glory does.
Yeah, because otherwise, I mean, there is, I'm sure, like when you're on the indies, it's like if you're working for a bunch of promotions, you just go in and do your match, and that's
Right.
it. You can't really like sink into a storyline in a lot of places.
Unless it's something you can wrap up on the show.
Yeah, exactly. Like Blake Christian is in ROH and GCW, and he's a totally different person in each one.
Mhm.
So it's like he's,
Yeah, but in GCW, he's a heel.
in ROH he's all heart Blake Christian, and in GCW he's all farts Paul Blart.
Well, I'm excited because we'll be able to cleanse all this ickiness off of us this tomorrow or today if you're watching this on Wednesday, because it's Wednesday in the world where this
It's
exists
Wednesday.
online.
You know what that means.
We'll be at Dynamite.
AEW Dynamite. God, it's like the Cody thing would have felt so. I kept thinking, I was like, man, if this happened like in 2010 before before AEW, it would have been so much harder to deal with the Cody
Mhm.
loss. But now I'm just like, I mean, that does suck. I'm heartbroken, but also AEW, who really cares?
Yeah.
AEW makes me so happy when I watch it. Even
Mhm.
like it's got its flaws and everything, but like so does everything,
Mhm.
And so it's the good absolutely outweighs the flaws for me. If you don't like it, go to hell. I don't care. If you don't
Yeah.
like it, I mean, that's totally fine. But make sure you actually don't like it and aren't just like trying to troll and be contrarian. Because I feel like a lot of the people that are super critical of AEW are just doing that. They just want so desperately to be like have their own separate personality and opinion. And it's like you can just like it. Or if you don't, just make sure that that's actually the truth and you're not just trying to fight. But yeah, we're going to Dynamite. Dynamite's going to be great.
We're going to Dynamite.
Dynamite's going to be a great, it's like a pay-per-view level card.
I know. It's going to be a great card. I'm really excited. Commander's going to be there.
Yeah, Commander versus
Sammy
Guevara. The FTR is putting their AEW careers on the line.
Jamie Hayter versus Riho.
FTR are definitely like now trying to be like, because they've been absolutely like having one foot out the door for like a couple of months. So I'm sure they're redrafting their AEW contracts now after watching Raw.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, that's gonna be great. Jamie Hayter versus Riho is gonna be a fantastic match.
I'm very excited.
I'm very excited about that one.
And it's MJF Day.
It's MJF Day. I can't wait to hear him shit on Cody.
I know. I'm very excited.
I mean, he might actually. What'll be funnier actually, and he might actually do as a bigger heel move than shitting on Cody, is touting the success of WrestleMania. Which I could see him doing something like that and being like, that was the biggest weekend, because he loves acting like WWE is his home.
Oh, maybe he'll say something about UFC. That'd be funny.
He might do something
I feel like
that.
he'll probably do a riff. This is how excited we are about MJF as an artist, which, by the way, I got to say this now. We talked about this earlier, but like I was imagining today what it would be like to see MJF actually go to WWE. I think while we were watching that Raw is when I was thinking about this. And I got so sad.
Oh, yeah.
Because I could not imagine watching MJF try to work in that environment.
It would be Cody Rhodes doing that promo where he's not in a normal mood. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
It would just be like, there'd be some passion,
yeah,
but you know that there's nothing of substance.
Right. And they would probably change his gimmick. They'd probably like make him do something else.
Well, they might let him be MJF, but he would be a neutered version of MJF. And he certainly wouldn't be able to do the type of stuff.
They'd call him Max and tell him not to wear the scarf anymore.
Yeah. Max Fried.
Yeah, they'd call him like Max Fried.
Oh, yeah, they wouldn't
something.
let him wear the scarf. That's definitely not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, every once in a while somebody is able to like do their thing, but MJF's thing is so tied to like promos and talking and his like character.
Yeah.
And I just don't see that being the same in WWE.
And also having stories. Like he has stories. Like he has genuine rivalries that have payoffs that like are justified. And in WWE he wouldn't have that. They would just be having like
random
almost
matches,
like squash him, you know, like
or even if
really
he beats Omos, it would just like there wouldn't be anything like next. It would just be random. Whenever I watch like matches on Raw, I'm just like, I don't care. I mean, there's just like nothing to them, even when they're good. You know what I mean? It's not. It's not a. I'm not talking about the roster not being talented. I mean, WWE has one of the most talented, amazing rosters of athletes ever assembled. But it's just they're just a lot of times it just feels like they're going through the motions of a match, and it's just there's no spark. Even if you see a match that's like a little sloppier, but there's a lot of passion, it's more enjoyable, and they're like trying stuff. And I just don't. I don't know. WWE is best for if you're a child, I think. But even kids are smarter. Like even like children's cartoons have simple stories that play out.
Yeah.
And WWE doesn't often have that.
Let the story play out.
There's not.
Let it play out.
There's not.
This is what everybody likes to say. Let it play out.
I'm sorry that I even suggested that we do that with this. Because there is no story to play out.
I think for some fun, we should go to Gossip Corner called Oh Shoot.
Oh Shoot. It's an oh shoot, brother.
First, I saw a story that's somebody tweeted. It was the person who had the give Dana Brooke a chance sign.
Yeah.
And they had that sign confiscated.
Vince is back.
WWE confiscated it.
He doesn't like the audience having opinions.
No.
This is what I meant when I said, like, when I was talking about Seth Rollins, where he did that interview where he was just like, you can't hide, in WWE, in like wrestling, you got to be, the audience is going to let you know. And it's like, he's correct about wrestling and about like comedy and stuff. Any live performance like that, yes, you sort of live or die by the audience reaction. You have to adjust because the audience is right there. They're going to, let you know if they like it or not, or if you're holding their attention or whatever. But WWE is different. You don't have to actually be getting a good reaction. You don't have to even be getting the correct reaction or any reaction. If they want to push you or they just want to control whatever narrative is happening. So, and that doesn't mean they're controlling like an actual narrative story. It just means that they're controlling everything. Because as we've established, Vince McMahon loves control. And so they're not going to let something like that because they don't even want people to think about somebody if they're not on the screen.
Yeah.
And
then Bayley.
So Bayley was apparently, all right.
I've seen this coming for a while, folks. If you're a listener or watcher of the podcast, you know that I've had my very big concerns about the fate of Bayley.
So Bayley, among the rewrites, there were supposed to be a couple of like women's triple threat matches to then determine two people who were going to fight next week, I think, on Raw to challenge to then earn a title shot against Bianca Belair. So instead, they scrapped that, and they inexplicably had a number one contenders match for the women's tag team titles, which was Damage Control, Io Sky and Dakota Kai, who were the former champions, so that makes some sense, right? Versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Gonzalez, she's Raquel Rodriguez now, and they had then they were the other team in the number one contenders match. What's funny about that is they were just the night before in that Fatal 4-Way women's tag team showcase match. And they lost. So it wasn't even the winners of that match. So it made zero sense that they were even doing this match. And then they won and beat Damage Control. Bayley was apparently supposed to be with Damage Control, was reportedly removed from that situation. So she wasn't out there. They did not mention her on commentary at all. Damage Control lost soundly.
And she tweeted, bye.
Yeah.
She tweeted, every good love story comes to an end, or even the most romantic love story comes to an end. Bye. And I don't know if she's tweeted anything since, but like, it sounds a little bit like she might be on her way out.
I mean, I hope so, because I don't want her to stay there. Like,
I guess it's a good time to leave because it's like right after WrestleMania, so it's not like we're going right into WrestleMania where she's gonna have to be home, like watching people on TV or whatever.
I mean, I always just think of
it's gonna suck if she can't work for however long.
Oh, if they do like a non-disclosure or
non-compete. Yeah.
I mean, she might also have to sign a but non-compete. I think there was some talk that they were trying to make that not legal. To have the but we'll see if anything ever happens with that.
As we saw with Mercedes, I think that that's going to be the situation she's in.
Where she
has to wait till like January to
maybe
do anything.
I just always think of like Renly Baratheon leaving King's Landing and him going to Ned Stark. Maybe this was only in the book. I can't remember if it was in the show, but he was just like, because Cersei was like, Robert was gonna die, and Cersei was like clearly gonna be in charge.
Oh yeah.
And Renly was like, "Hey, Ned, we should go. Like, we should leave now."
Right.
And then Ned's like, "No, I'm gonna take care. I'm gonna figure it out." I think because Ned was like too good.
Yeah, yeah.
And he like was too optimistic about it.
And his daughter was engaged to
his
the
daughter was
boy.
engaged. He couldn't leave
his daughter.
He couldn't leave her.
Yeah.
That's true. But I mean, he could have taken them. You know what I mean? Like, but he was just like too honorable and too optimistic that he could like.
He trusted the system. He trusted the system.
And so it does feel a lot like that. It's like, hey, we should go. Like, we should get out of here now. And so Bailey's still there, and I just hope that she can get out of it. I mean, you know, if she stays, she's just going to probably be there doing whatever, and it could be fine. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Mustafa Ali's there, and he does stuff. He's on TV. He gets a paycheck.
But, I mean, she's so talented, and she's not even close to like retirement age yet. So it's like I hate to see people lose years of their career to this kind of stupid crap, you know? Like, and it's like she's so good and so fun to watch.
She's like an underrated horsewoman too, NXT horsewoman. She's like,
I mean, she's just as
so
good as
well-rounded.
any of those ladies.
Yeah, and she's and she's almost more well-rounded. I mean, she's like other than maybe Becky, she's like.
She's reinvented herself.
Yes,
She's like tried to start a whole faction. Like she's got ideas, like and passion for it.
She's like Chris Jericho. Is like her,
really.
She really is, and that's like all kind of what her current character is too. Ding dong, hello idiots. I mean, that's like a classic Chris Jericho type of thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. She's like
she's not afraid to look dumb.
She's creative in ways that not every wrestler is. Like, you know, not everybody you get to see trying different things like that on their own.
You know, and I mean, well, maybe if she does leave and she can link back up with Mercedes, because there's like rumors that Mercedes' contract is up like at the end of this month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, please God, don't go back to WWE. You just got out. You just started this new thing. So maybe if she were to like link back up with Mercedes, they could support each other to like stay out. You know? I mean, like I can understand 100% why Becky Lynch does not need to leave WWE.
Oh yeah.
I can understand 1,000% why Charlotte Flair does not need to leave WWE. I mean, she's Roman Reigns essentially. So, but Bayley, I think, would benefit from it. I feel bad for Io because I really wanted Io to do stuff, and I like Dakota Kai a lot too. But Io's not going to do. Vince is also probably going to release a lot of people. Like a lot of the people that Triple H re-signed are probably going to get released. In addition to office workers probably losing their jobs from this merger.
A bunch of people are going to get laid off. Yeah,
big time.
It's going to be a bummer. So what's this injuries thing you wrote on here?
Oh, so it's just that like at AEW, at the ROH pay-per-view, Dante Martin unfortunately like seemingly broke his leg. It was like he came off of a Canadian destroyer through some tables and landed on his foot, and it twisted like back around, or his leg broke. It was hard to tell, but it looked like a pretty gruesome injury. But you know, those injuries happen. It seems like right now Pentagon was tweeting some stuff about like, oh, thank God, like you know, so that it sounded like he was saying he was like, hope to see you back so soon. Because I'm sure Penta feels bad about it, even though it wasn't like explicitly Penta's fault. You know, it just was like an accident. You know, what I mean, it's an injury that happened.
It happens.
But it sounded like the way Penta was tweeting about it, it sounded like Dante got some good news about the recovery. He's very young, which should hopefully help the recovery. But of course, a lot of people were using this as a way to like troll AEW and Tony Khan and ROH and be like, you can't keep letting them do this crazy stuff and it's bad, you know, botching the product. And then we're watching WrestleMania and Shane McMahon goes out there. He's 30 years older than Dante Martin, but
I forgot about the Shane spot.
Shane leapfrogs over Miz and he landed and he like collapses and then he tries to stand up again and he falls again and he can't stand up. And I was like, he definitely tore his quad, because quad tears that I have seen in wrestling, it looks to the outsider like nothing has happened. Like it's not like somebody's knee bends weird or
Which
like.
Which one is the quad? Do you know?
I don't know. I think it's in your. I think it's
neither
up here.
Of us know where a quad
I'm
is.
not
Look
a wrestler or an athlete. Okay, I've never caught a ball in my life. So, but it's in your leg. But so it looks to the naked eye like nothing has happened really.
Yeah.
But they can't stand up.
Right.
So it happened to Triple H. I mean, Triple H was. It's incredible, truly, that he was able to like finish a match, two matches, I think, with torn quads.
This is why you got to do yoga. You got to keep your flexibility.
Don't take a bunch of like.
If your muscles aren't flexible, they'll rip.
Yeah, and don't like do a bunch of steroids and stuff that make your muscles grow, and not with your like ligaments and stuff. So it's like.
Oh yeah, that'll do it too.
But anyway, but Shane's also was he's in his 50s. I mean, your body does, it's harder sometimes, and so he leapfrogs, tears his quad.
You gotta stretch before you leapfrog, kids. This is what I'm trying to say.
And Finn Balor, it wasn't to the same degree, but he got hit with a ladder. They had to stop the Hell in a Cell match temporarily.
Did you see the photo he posted?
The staple,
so grotesque.
Stitches, yeah.
Oh.
This is the ladder accidentally. He blocked the ladder for the most part, but like one of the rungs or whatever, like hit him right in the head, and so he got busted open. And I mean, he ended up finishing the match. It wasn't like a huge injury, but it was just a huge gash. Yeah,
it was a huge gash.
It was a huge cut, and they had to and so I'm just like, man, this is like such a double standard, because I don't know that people were like, WWE's so dangerous and can't be letting them do this. I mean, some people probably were saying something like that, but it just goes to show that injuries can just happen.
Yeah.
And they will happen, and it's unfortunate that they will happen. It was really funny that Shane tore his quad, but I feel bad for him. I don't want him to be hurt. I like Shane. I was giving him a lot of crap for being there. I don't think he needed to be there. It's also funny that he came back as the babyface after his feud with Miz, which he won, where he was a despicable heel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just.
I mean, I think it was like their last night as a family business.
Yeah, I think I understand why Shane wanted to be there. I don't dislike Shane, and I don't want him to be hurt. Yeah. It was
good,
crazy.
Sorry, the cops don't believe you. You're under arrest for.
I didn't tear his quad.
Torn quad.
I didn't tear his quad. He tore it himself.
All right, let's move on to the awards.
Award season today.
Yeah.
We'll work on the last word. But yeah, so my pick, I think we had the same pick here for promo of the week.
We had the same pick that I picked first.
I was gonna maybe say something else, but I was like, I saw yours there, and I was like, I agree, and I don't think we should. I'm not just gonna pick another one. Just to
let's say what the award is. It's promo of the week.
Promo of the week.
Promo of the week. This is the promo that we're most excited to talk about because it was the most fun or interesting to us.
Can I do the honorable mention real quick?
Yeah.
The honorable mention was it wasn't really a promo, so I didn't feel comfortable with it, but it was Eddie Kingston at the end of the ROH pay-per-view just cursing before they went off the air because he could, like, shit, mother effer, I don't care.
Shit, motherfucker.
Yeah, fuck shit, motherfucker, I don't care. So it was very fun. Anyway.
Yeah, that was fun.
So the real promo
So the
segment.
promo that we liked the most was Charles Mason and Yoshihiko.
Yeah, so Charles Mason's like from House of Glory, now a lot of GCW, and he's like basically an American Psycho.
Yeah, he's basically a super rich guy who loves to do murders.
Yeah,
and
he's like a murder pervert.
He crashed a couple GCW shows this past weekend. One of which he crashed Effie's Big Gay Brunch, which was a really crazy match too. But my favorite promo of his was he came out during Joey Janela's spring break, and it was to interrupt Yoshihiko's promo that they were cutting. It was intense. It was getting a lot of heat from the crowd, like a lot of reactions from the crowd. People were cheering. Yoshihiko was very over.
Just for some clarification, Yoshihiko is
a wrestler from Japan.
A wrestler from Japan. That's right. That's true.
Who holds the...
A very flexible wrestler from Japan.
A title holder from Japan.
They are currently the DDT Pro Wrestling
Iron Man.
Iron Man heavy metalweight champion.
Yeah. So that's who Yoshihito is.
Yoshihiko. There was a lot. You had a lot of mispronunciations. Joey Canella, I think he called him.
All right.
It's just funny because his name is alliterative.
I know, but there's a lot. Sometimes I'm trying to get a lot of information out, and my mouth doesn't work so good.
I know.
And for some reason, we think that's fun to make fun of me.
I did.
Anyway, so Charles Mason comes out and tells everybody that Yoshihiko is just a stupid doll.
Yeah, which is despicable to say.
It's a horrible thing to say. And then tries to slice Yoshihiko's throat with a knife. Yeah,
Charles Mason was going to slit Yoshihiko's throat, and then Jimmy Lloyd comes out to save Yoshihiko.
Jimmy Lloyd helps Yoshihiko deliver their promos by holding Yoshihiko up and moving their arm for him.
Yeah, Yoshihiko, I think it's like an exercise. You know, keep the muscles loose so you don't tear your quad. And so Jimmy Lloyd was trying to help Yoshihiko, and then Charles Mason has got Jimmy Lloyd, and he's going to make him watch Yoshihiko get destroyed or murdered essentially.
Yeah.
And so his Charles Mason's muscle.
His muscle.
Yes, I don't remember this guy's name.
Oh God,
sorry.
I don't either.
So
I'm sorry. We'll add it in later.
One day I'll know it, and I'll criticize somebody else for forgetting. And so He's got Yoshihiko up on the shoulder, and then Charles Mason is like, "Wait, what are you doing?" And then Yoshihiko German suplexes this guy and takes him out, and then Charles Mason is terrified of Yoshihiko and then runs away. But it's you should watch it. It's
Maybe
on
I'll
Play
cut
Plus.
it in.
I, for one, am tired of this. I'm fucking sick and tired of these games with this fucking doll. And I'm gonna end it once and for all.
Hold on, what does Mason have in mind here? No, going into his pocket and grabbing a knife. No! Come on! No! This is taking things too far! Commit murder on... This is taking things too far! And Pero...
Who the fuck are you? Who do you think you are? Putting your hands on me! Huh? 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 What the fuck? Oh, fuck!
Jimmy Lloyd!
His fat ass Jimmy fucking Lloyd!
Lloyd's nose has been busted
People
open.
like you are what's wrong with wrestling. What's wrong with this fucking company? Just like every single one of you. I'm gonna make you watch, Jimmy. I'm gonna make you pick her up. Paro, pick her up. Pick her up. Watch.
No.
It's all fun and games. Huh? Watch her. What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing?
Yoshihiko's starting to fight back.
What are you doing? Paro.
Yoshihiko with the waist lock on Pero!
Stop it! Stop playing with me! Stop playing! Stop!
German suplex on the big man! What strength shown by Yoshihiko! Taking down Pero!
And fear now on the face of Mason.
Terrified out of the ring by Yoshihiko!
Yeah, you should definitely watch it because it's a great promo. And Charles Mason was great at finding, I don't know if he booked this, but at the very least his performance in both of these shows, he sold beautifully. And it just was each show, Effie's Big Gay Brunch and Joey Janela's Spring Break with Yoshihiko, the perfect way to be the biggest heel on the show. Mm-hmm. It was just, and it was tailored to each one.
Trying to spoil everybody's fun.
Yes.
That was what he was doing.
And in
walking in, calling us all idiots, calling us all nerds, calling us all poors, whatever. And then trying to spoil the fun, and then having the fun spoil him.
And it was, exactly. And it was tailored.
Yoshihiko does get their vengeance and scared him out of the ring.
That's right. Never to be seen again.
He was really scared
He'll
of
be in the
Yoshihiko.
six-way scramble.
He even carried it through. He carried it through to Twitter. He retweeted a photo of Yoshihiko. Charles Mason did with a frightened face, emoji face. He quote tweeted it with a little emoji.
They're gonna have that match someday, and it's gonna be great. So we move on to the next award. I guess the final award, Match of the Week.
Match of the Week. I picked Rhea and Charlotte Flair. Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. I watched a lot of wrestling this weekend, and I saw a lot of great matches. I saw some really good matches on Effie's Big Gay Brunch. A really great match. A few really great matches on the Tokyo Joshi show. But, Rhea and Charlotte, I think I just was really excited for it because I'd been waiting for it for so long, and it delivered.
Over-delivered.
They did it more than they had to do. I got the feeling because they were maybe a little bit angry that they weren't either the first or headlining match.
I think they actually did a great service by not putting it last because I think the crowd would have been tired had the tag title match gone on first. Yeah. And I also think it would have been a slight possibility that they would have turned on.
Yeah, no, I'm not questioning the booking. I'm not questioning that. I'm just saying it felt like they were.
And
trying
this was
to,
a surprise.
Yeah,
how good.
yeah.
Not with that. We knew it would be great.
I know all the reasons that they booked it the way they did.
Sorry,
I just no, it's okay.
I apologize.
I'm just trying to say why I liked the match.
I'm sorry.
And you interrupted me
to
defend WWE like you're always doing.
You're gonna do something. Someday something will happen.
You're always so defensive of WWE. No, it's okay. I really liked it, and it felt like they were. there was an anger to it that felt like they were trying to prove something, and they did. Like they wanted to prove something, and they did. Is what it felt like.
Yeah.
And I was happy for them, and really happy for Rhea. I was a little upset that like Judgment Day wasn't out there with her, or like even towards the end or something like that, or walking out with her or anything. Like I thought her entrance was a big letdown because I was expecting like a little bit more pageantry. It's WrestleMania.
Yeah. Like, and she's like the big star.
It's WrestleMania, and it's a title match. You
also,
know, it's like there is no bigger deal than this.
Yeah.
And they just had them do like normal entrances, and I was like,
it was the last belt in WWE she hadn't held.
Yeah.
She's the only person who's ever held the Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and NXT UK women's titles.
I was kind of bummed about that, but otherwise, I thought it was a great match, and she proved that she deserves to be a star.
Absolutely, and it's funny that they didn't give her a big entrance because literally the only story was that she wanted to be a star.
Yeah.
So it's funny that she would forego an entrance.
Oh, yeah. That was the other thing about it. It was like, you know, like I loved the match for it being such a great encapsulation of the way I feel about the WWE women's division, which is that I love the talent. They're all so good at what they do, and they can deliver these like absolutely gob-stopping performances. Like
gobstoppers.
Like these friggin' like jaw on the floor like performances, but because WWE doesn't like know what to do with them or care, they have to like make up that there's a story going on. And the commentators kept having to be like, Rhea wants to be the biggest star, but she has to go through Charlotte. And it's like that wanting to be a star doesn't make any sense for Rhea Ripley's character.
No.
And at no point did she say that until like, you know, probably a week before the match.
They stumbled into something that could have been the whole feud, was that she had lost previously to Charlotte. And she mentioned, she was like, everybody around here is afraid of me. Like, I look in everybody's eyes and there's fear. And you're the only one who there's no fear. And that, like, that's perfect. Just be like, I'm going to make you feel fear, you know?
Yeah, and that's good. And I thought that there was a lot more they could have done, because even just, like, who they are, like, Rhea's a person, she's from South Australia. She talks about this, you know, overcoming adversity, and like she's not from like a big wrestling family like Charlotte Flair is. Yeah. And so there was a great like built-in narrative of like, you know, this scrappy little nobody who's like clawed her way up from nowhere versus the Nepo baby who considers herself the queen. Like what a great story that could have been.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like watching the match going like, this is good, this is great, but this is a perfect example of how WWE makes you feel, where you're watching something and you go, this is good, could have been superb, could have been magic, could have been a moment, but they walked away from it, but the talent still delivers. So that's why I picked it.
It was
for
kind of
match
the opposite
of
the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns match, which had the story and then the results didn't pay off. I had a lot of trouble with this, I will be honest, because that was a potential match for me, Rhea versus Charlotte. Another one that I really loved, I mean, there were many on the ROH pay-per-view that I loved, but the Eddie Kingston versus Claudio Castagnoli was a fantastic match. I almost said that. And then the Intercontinental title match from WrestleMania was great, and I almost picked that as well. But the one that I ultimately went with, because it just, for all the factors, I had to go with the tag title match from WrestleMania Night 1, the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos, because it just actually did pay off a lot of great things. I love Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They're two of my favorite wrestlers anywhere. I've been following their careers for a long time. Well, I've been following Kevin Owens' career for a long time, and, you know, Sami Zayn is a student, a pupil, I believe, of El Generico, who's very important to me. So it's just really meaningful to me to watch that. It just, like, was a great match, but also was like a great story and moment, and that was like probably the thing that a lot of people remember from that WrestleMania, and I just kind of had to go with that, and especially because we didn't get that ending on really anything else, because even in ROH we didn't get the ending we wanted, even though Eddie Kingston's gimmick is that he has to like never quite get there. And I could talk about that pay-per-view more, but I won't. But
do you want to hear
something
funny? A friend from work who doesn't watch wrestling watched that match, watched a few WrestleMania matches on Saturday or Sunday, and he watched that exact match, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos, and he described it to me as the brothers versus the two scraggly guys.
Yeah.
I was like, that one. I know exactly what match you're talking about.
Yeah. It's funny, Sami Zayn used to be real, like, clean cut.
I was telling you this. I miss his look.
I think he might bring it back at some point.
Because he's been like him and I like him and Kevin Owens just fine. But, their look is very like just woke up. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I just woke up and rolled out of bed and threw on a t-shirt and some athletic shorts and here I am.
Kevin Owens
And
has had that look for at least 10 years. He has never, he used to wear a singlet. He still does wear a singlet under his shirt and shorts.
And I get it, but it kind
yeah.
of bums me out because it's like, you can do anything. You can do anything. I mean, literally nothing matters here. Put on a silly hat. Like, I don't know.
But,
all right, should we do Nerd Fantasy Booking?
Nerd Fantasy Booking. Sorry to the nerds.
So my pick for Nerd Fantasy Booking is I would like for Bailey to fight Toni Storm.
Do you want to hear my Bailey non-WWE copyrighted name pitch?
Yeah.
So her name used to be, I believe, Davina Rose in the Indies. So now it should be Davina Ding Dong.
I bet Ding Dong is. I bet they have that.
I mean, she could easily just be.
They have that.
Bailey.
That would be very funny.
Yeah. I mean, she could do that. I don't think they could. Yeah.
I think it'd be really funny if she did show up, like to try and take over the Outcasts or something. Either to take over the Outcasts or to defend. The AEW girls from them, depending on if she wants to be a face or a heel. You know what I mean? Like, I think she could do either one. But I think that would be a great match. I think it would be super fun to get her into AEW because I think she's perfect for AEW because she's got some silliness to her.
Oh, yeah. She would
I think
crush.
she should, actually, okay, updating my Nerd Fantasy.
And she's a great wrestler, and she's,
Here's my Nerd Fantasy Booking updated, okay? Just updated
This just in.
Bailey comes into AEW, fights Toni Storm and Ruby Soho and Saraya and takes over the Outcasts, owns them, and then she finally has her fucking faction. And she's the Chris Jericho of AEW for the women.
The Bailey the Ding Dong Appreciation Society. I mean, she is basically.
I would never stop smiling. I would be smiling all week if that happened.
I would
be
love it.
Bailey got her faction.
She finally did it.
She's got her faction.
Isn't it great too that her dream wasn't to be champion? I mean, it was, but a thing was just I want to have a faction to elevate women's wrestling. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
That's why she would do well in AEW because she's got ideas, like you said.
Exactly. She's got ideas. She's got things she wants to do. She just needs someone who's willing to respect her and isn't so petty about her friendship with Mercedes that they'll let her do it.
Yeah, exactly. Toni.
I'm
sure Tony's very willing to make it happen.
I normally say don't hire any more people because you got to work with the ones you have, but you can hire more women. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
especially if Bailey's going to have a faction because that means there's lots of storylines for lots of people because the faction, as we see with the Jericho Appreciation Society, can split up and be in all these different things.
And Saraya's not going to wrestle all the time.
Right.
She's she's sort of like a Brock Lesnar situation, I think. She's only going to wrestle sometimes.
So I think it'd be nice to just have a gaggle of gals.
Yeah, and another reason to make women's tag team titles in AEW.
There you go. And you know who could win those tag team titles? Money.
Money.
Because guess what? Her tag partner is no longer on her contract.
Nope, that's right. And New Japan
so they could show up and have a women's tag tournament.
That would be great.
And they could have girls from the Indies. They could have Mercedes and
they could have all the
Trinity.
Joshis could come back.
They could have the Joshis come back. The Joshis left.
I know. I'm sorry. The Joshis went back to Japan.
I was really sad about it when I saw the photos of them at the airport being like, bye, because I love the Joshis.
I know. We should get you a Wrestle Universe subscription so you can have access to Tokyo Joshi Pro.
Yeah. I think that'd be good for me.
Yeah.
I also think we should go to Japan so I could see the Joshis.
I would love to. Didn't we say we should live in Japan for a couple months?
Yeah. Last night we were like, what if I moved to Japan and just got one of those apartments where everything folds away and is super clean, and we get one cat that's so cute. It's how is this cat alive?
Yeah.
But when I picture life in Japan, that's what I picture. A really clean apartment where everything is really technologically advanced and folds and is organized, and then you have a cat that's just so cute it makes you sick.
Yeah. God. I'm sure there's downsides. We don't speak Japanese.
We don't speak Japanese.
So that would be a hurdle. But
it would be a major hurdle. I don't know if we can do our jobs on opposite time zones.
Yeah, that's true. I wouldn't be able to.
We'd live like vampires.
We literally have to stay up all night because it's literally the opposite. It's like 11.
Our
13
neighbors
hours.
would all think we were just vampires. They'd be like, "Did you see that couple that moved in down the hall? They're only awake at night, and they hiss at us."
I want to see Japanese What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That would be, you know how they did like The Office in every region or whatever?
I would love to see What We Do in the Shadows in different countries because they all have different superstitions and different like.
That's kind of maybe what my nerd fantasy booking. I had another one, that's my non-wrestling one. But my nerd fantasy booking, I wrote this as hires, but I want MJF to bring in Charles Mason to kill someone. I want that to be the story. I don't want anybody to actually die. I just want the story to be like. They should be friends, right? They know each other because they're both rich guys from New York.
Yeah, they should be. Or, yeah, they should be because they are both rich guys from New York.
Mm-hmm.
That would make a lot of sense.
And MJF, I could see him like being like, hey, if you want to kill this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's terrible. He already, like, almost killed that girl, right? Then he admit to attempted vehicular manslaughter.
And I feel like they'd just have, like, a promo video of, like, MJF and Charles Mason, like, on a golf course or something.
Yeah,
like
in beautiful Long Island.
Or, like, on a boat, doing some rich guy stuff. Yeah, that'd be good. I like that.
MJF's like, hey, what happened to that girl that was here? And Charles Mason's like, I don't know. Also, and MJF's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Also, Charles Mason's music is so good. I've gotten really into Charles Mason lately because I've seen him.
I worry about that, but
no, because just the music gets stuck in my head a lot, and not a lot of wrestling music does that. There's only a few songs that get stuck in my head.
Yeah.
One is the Charles Mason song. One is Bianca Belair's song.
You like the ones about money?
Well, Bianca Belair's isn't.
No,
about
I know,
money.
I know. I thought of Mercedes.
Also, Naomi's song gets stuck in my. I'm amazing. I think it's also because I can't really sing it, so it's like one of those songs that like you have to listen to because you're like, oh, it's stuck in my head, but I can't sing it. Anyway, sorry.
Bianca's is very good. It's just like I'm on my own, and it's it's just like she
can't
does help
this.
it. You bounce like her.
She was telling a story about the hands because she comes out and does these hands, and I watched an interview where she was talking about how she started doing that because they started playing the music and she just didn't know what else to do.
Oh yeah.
So she just started going like this, and I was like, and it worked.
But
no, that's great.
There's a lot of stuff. I guess we can wrap it.
Yeah.